According to the National Electrical Code, specifically Article 358.44a, conductors are not permitted to be spliced or tapped within raceways unless approved splicing devices are used. These devices must be installed either within the raceway itself or in approved junction boxes or conduit bodies. This means that when you are running a conduit system and need to change the size of the conduit, you generally cannot simply reduce or increase the conduit size without providing an approved transition method that incorporates either a junction box or a conduit body. The reason for this is to ensure that any splices or connections are made in a safe and accessible location and that the conductors are properly protected. In your specific example where you have a 1-inch conduit transitioning to 1/2-inch cell tight at the end of the run using a 1/2-inch to 1-inch reducing bushing, whether or not this is code compliant depends on several factors. Firstly, are there any splices or taps located at the transition point inside the conduit? If there are, then a junction box or conduit body is required to house those splices, as per Article 358.44a. Secondly, even if there are no splices, the installation must still comply with other applicable NEC requirements. For instance, the conductors must be properly supported and secured within the conduit system, and the transition from rigid conduit to cell tight must be made in a way that protects the conductors from physical damage. Reducing bushings are commonly used to transition between different conduit sizes, and they are generally acceptable for this purpose, provided that they are properly sized and installed. However, a reducing bushing alone may not be sufficient to meet all of the NEC requirements, especially if there are splices involved or if the transition creates a potential point of stress on the conductors. Let's delve deeper into the relevant sections of the NEC and explore the specific requirements that apply to conduit installations and transitions. Article 300.10 addresses wiring methods and requires that wiring systems be mechanically continuous between outlets, devices, and equipment. This means that the conduit system must be properly installed and supported to prevent it from becoming damaged or displaced. Article 314 covers outlet boxes, device boxes, pull boxes, junction boxes, conduit bodies, and handheld enclosures. This article provides detailed requirements for the selection and installation of these enclosures, including their size, construction, and support. Section 314.16 provides rules for calculating the number of conductors permitted in boxes and conduit bodies. These calculations are based on the size of the conductors and the volume of the enclosure. It is important to ensure that the box or conduit body is large enough to accommodate all of the conductors and any necessary splices or terminations. Conduit bodies such as LB, LLs, LRs, and Ts are often used to provide access to conductors and to facilitate bends and changes in direction in the conduit system. However, conduit bodies are subject to certain limitations, as outlined in Article 314. In particular, the size of the conduit body must be appropriate for the size of the conductors being used, and the conduit body must be installed in a way that does not create a strain on the conductors. Article 344 covers rigid metal conduit, or RMC, which is a type of metallic conduit that is commonly used in electrical installations. RMC is a thick-walled conduit that provides excellent physical protection for conductors. Article 352 covers rigid polyvinyl chloride conduit, or PVC, which is a type of non-metallic conduit that is also commonly used in electrical installations. PVC is lightweight and corrosion-resistant, making it a popular choice for underground and outdoor applications. Article 356 covers liquid-type flexible non-metallic conduit, or LFNC, which is a type of flexible conduit that is often used to connect equipment that is subject to vibration or movement. LFNC is liquid-type, meaning that it is resistant to water and other fluids. Article 358 covers electrical metallic tubing, or IMD, which is a type of thin-walled metallic conduit that is commonly used in indoor applications. EMT is lightweight and easy to install, making it a cost-effective alternative to RMC. Article 360 covers flexible metallic conduit, or FMC, which is a type of flexible conduit that is similar to LFNC, but is not liquid-tight. FMC is often used to connect lighting fixtures and other equipment that is subject to movement. When transitioning from one type of conduit to another, it is important to use fittings that are specifically designed for that purpose. For example, when transitioning from RMC to EMT, a combination coupling should be used. Combination couplings are designed to provide a secure and watertight connection between the two different types of conduit. Similarly, when transitioning from rigid conduit to cell type, a connector that is listed for that purpose should be used. These connectors typically have a threaded end that screws into the rigid conduit and a compression fit-in that secures the cell type. In addition to using the correct fittings, it is also important to properly support and secure the conduit system. The NEC specifies the maximum spacing between conduit supports, and these requirements must be followed to ensure that the conduit system is properly supported. The type of support used will depend on the type of conduit being used and the application. For example, RMC typically requires more substantial supports than EMT. When installing conduit in wet locations, it is important to use fittings and supports that are rated for wet locations. These fittings and supports are typically made of corrosion-resistant materials and are designed to prevent water from entering the conduit system. In addition to the specific requirements outlined in the NEC, there are also a number of industry standards and best practices that should be followed when installing conduit systems. These standards and best practices can help to ensure that the conduit system is installed safely and reliably. For example, it is important to properly ream the ends of the conduit after cutting it to remove any sharp edges or burrs. Sharp edges and burrs can damage the conductors and make it difficult to pull them through the conduit. It is also important to use a lubricant when pulling conductors through the conduit. Lubricants can help to reduce friction and make it easier to pull the conductors through the conduit. When installing conduit underground, it is important to bury it at the proper depth to protect it from damage. The NEC specifies the minimum burial depth for different types of conduit, and these requirements must be followed. It is also important to properly compact the soil around the conduit to prevent it from settling and damaging the conduit. In summary, when changing conduit sizes, you need to consider Article 358.44 of the NEC regarding splices, proper fittings for transitions, and support requirements. If splices are present, a junction box or conduit body is mandatory. Even without splices, ensure the installation meets all applicable NEC standards for conductor protection and support.